What's up everyone, my name's Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Radical Red and today's challenge will be can I beat Pokemon Radical Red 4.0 hardcore mode using only a random monotype. So on our wheel you can spin around and we get the most basic monotype. We can get normal only. So a lot of people actually been asking for it in the comments and I don't know how to tell you guys this, but I don't pick it. I just pick it from the wheel. So whatever I get from the wheel, I pick it. So you have to wait until your monotype comes up, but a highly anticipated normal monotype. So what we're gonna do is gonna play on a hardcore mode on Radical Red, which is one of the hardest ROM hacks in the world. If you guys click on this video, I assume you guys know what Radical Red hardcore mode is, but essentially it's just the hardest mode in this ROM hack. It limits your options of moveset and gives a lot of advantage. It's just more difficult. I'll try to explain it more into the battles, but until then, our only fun that we can get out of this because the ROM hack itself is just annoying and tedious. The only fun we'll get out of this will be each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thanks so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after your future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while it's down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin off, you guys haven't noticed, we do have infinite rare candies, which doesn't really matter because we do have a level cap. It's just easier to build more Pokemon around your team, so it's actually worth it in our monotype runs. And our first Pokemon is going to be a Galarian Zigzagoon, followed with a Sentret, which is kind of crazy because I don't think I've ever used Sentret like that, but we're gonna get a Furret soon enough. We're not gonna show every capture obviously because it's gonna take a while, but in the early games I like to show off what I'm getting so I can build my team around them. And as you can see, I'm just gonna start evolving them and leveling them up. Once we get our Pokemon up to level 16, that's gonna be the hard level cap where you can't get over. So once we get through that, we're gonna go into the first few boss fights in the game. There's some mini bosses in the routes obviously, so we had to get through them. We're gonna face off against this bug trainer, which surprisingly wasn't too difficult. A lot of the normal type Pokemon we're gonna have are partially normal and also a secondary typing, so they're gonna be like normal flying most of the time or normal dark. I don't think I'm gonna use a lot of normal types specifically. So besides that, once we get into Peter City, we're gonna start actually hatching eggs with the egg merchant and we get ourselves a Ditto. Unfortunately in this hardcore mode you're limited with the abilities as well, so we can't actually get imposter. So Limber is the only ability on our Ditto, so we don't really want to use that. We get ourselves a Lickitung, which I'll have on my team. I don't think I use too often, but it would be pretty useful as we go on and face off against Falkner, the first mini boss in the game. Falkner is going to be like a little barrier before we get into the first gym, and we're able to beat him down pretty easily, as you can see. From there, we're gonna move on and face off against Brock. Brock's gonna be the very first gym leader in the game. We're gonna face off against him and his infinite Sandstorm. Brock has a pretty okay advantage, which is only Sandstorm. We're gonna start the battle off against his Hippopotas using my Deerling. Deerling's able to one-shot the Hippopotas with Seed Bomb and knock him out. His next Pokemon will be a Cacnea, which I go out into my Staravia, which is able to intimidate him and also knock him down. He's gonna actually switch out into his room, which I did not predict. I don't know why I didn't see that coming, but I'm gonna go out to my Lickitung. Lickitung actually able to go for a knockoff as he switched back into his Cacnea. I'm just gonna keep my Lickitung in and see how much chip I can get. Lickitung ends up knocking out the Cacnea for us as it actually goes down as well, but it turns out pretty well for us as we're able to knock out the Cacnea. The room comes on next, which I'm just gonna go for chip damage with my Staravia as we're able to get him down to low HP. Then go out into my Galarian Linoone, which is a very strong Pokemon. Keep in mind of that. Which we're able to chip down a leap and then switch out into my Deerling. We're able to jump kick into the Deerling twice to knock him out. And then the next Pokemon after that will be a Lunatone. We get a Seed Bomb off against him, and then my Linoone will knock out the Lunatone and also the Arcan for us, as we're able to beat down most of his Pokemon. His final Pokemon will be a Vroom and Linoone. Pretty strong Pokemon. Just keep in mind that this thing is pretty strong in the early game. We're gonna knock out Brock pretty easily, get our first gym badge in the game. Now the level cap jumped up to like 23-ish, 27 after Mount Moon, so we have to evolve a lot of our Pokemon. So we get a Fearow. So Fearow is pretty cool. I think he has Technician too, so Double Hit's gonna be a really good move on him. As we move on, this Mawile trainer is really annoying, but we're able to get through her. And in the early game, normal type Pokemon are pretty strong. We even get a Greedent. When's the next time you're gonna see me use a Greedent? You're never gonna see me use a Greedent again. But we're able to beat down the Scientist in Mount Moon and also face off against Archer, and this fight wasn't difficult at all. So Greedent pretty much survived it. Beat down Archer. We're gonna move on into Ruin City, which we go on to the Egg Merchant. I don't think we get anything super cool. We get a Rangaroo, which I take back. It's gonna be pretty useful as we're gonna use them in the next gym fight. We're face off against the next gym leader, Misty. We're gonna start the battle off against her using my Sawsbuck. Sawsbuck's able to go for a Horn Leech and one-shot the Politoed with a Muscle Band. So from there, her next Pokemon will be a Mantine, and I'm like, Mantine's gonna go for Hurricane. I got it to my Greedent. Greedent survives it pretty easily and also gets double recovery from berries, so that's pretty nice, as you can see. And I'm able to body slam and paralyze the Mantine on the second try. There we go. My Green will go down, but I'm able to go out to my Sawsbuck to knock out the Mantine. Her next opponent will be a Ludicolo, which I stayed in, take Aurora Beam, and then heal up my HP. From there, I actually heal up enough to live a third Aurora Beam as we're able to knock out the Ludicolo, and then from there, her next opponent will be a Toxicroak, which I let him knock me out as I go out to my Fearow. Fearow is able to one-shot her Toxicroak, and then her next opponent after that will be a Starmie, which I outspeed and get a double hit on. Kind of confusing, but we're able to knock him down to low HP, go out into my Lanoon to knock out the Starmie. Okay, it didn't knock out the Starmie, but I go out to my Oranguru to knock out the Starmie, and her final opponent will be a Clogsire, which we're able to confusion into. Oranguru has Sage Power, which actually boosts up. It's basically a choice specs, but an ability. So we're able to actually knock down the Clogsire to low HP with just confusion. And then my Ursaring will knock out the Clogsire for us, as we're able to get ourselves the second gym badge in the game super easily. We're gonna make our way into Vermilion City after this, and no problem at all. Again, normal type Pokemon are great in the early game. As you can see, we're actually able to breeze through, but we have a little bit of trouble against Brendan. Brendan kind of stalls up a little bit, but we're still able to beat him down. And then from there, we're going to move out and face up against the next gym leader in the game. We're going to face up against Lieutenant Surge. Lieutenant Surge is going to be the third gym leader in the game. Also an electric type specialist. He has infinite electric terrain. Kind of annoying, but we're going to start the battle off against him using my Pyroar, which is normal and fire type. Easily knock down the Rotom Frost in one turn. His next opponent will be a Alolan Raichu, which I do have a Diggersby. Diggersby is normal ground. Just to make sure you guys know they're normal type. All of them are normal type, don't worry. I go out to my Diggersby to avoid the rising voltage, and then from there I'm able to Bulldoze into him as he goes for a Nasty Plot. And then I quick attack to knock him out, so that's a free KO. His next opponent will be an Electrode, which I go back out into my Pyroar just to force him to use Explosion, which he does. We're able to knock out the Electrode. From there, I'm going to switch out into my Diggersby as he switches out into his Hitmonlee. I kind of messed up there. I go out to my Staraptor, which will tank close combat, and the Citrus Berry up. He's getting close combat once again. He's not going to be able to knock me out as I do Wing Beat and knock him out. His next opponent will be a Palnut. I get a quick attack off as he knocks me out, but things should be pretty easy. I go out to my Diggersby, which can survive a close combat. Oh wow, I lied. Did not survive a close combat. I go out to my Greedent, which can survive a close combat. Yep. And then Body Slam to knock out the Palnut. And his next opponent will be Ampharos, which I go for a few Body Slams. Nope, I keep lying. Focus Blast and knocks me out from the Ampharos. But I go out into my Galarian. Not Galarian. What is this called? My Obstagoon. My Obstagoon is not able to take a Focus Blast. And my last opponent will be a Sawsbuck, which lucky enough, he landed 2 Focus Blasts. A lot of regression means he's gonna miss the next ones, and he actually missed more than he hit. So we're actually able to knock him out with my Sawsbuck as we're able to beat down the Mega Ampharos. And yeah. So we're able to beat down Lieutenant Surge, move on into the Rock Tunnel, and clear through the Rock Tunnel pretty easily. We also beat down this trainer outside of the Rock Tunnel to get into Lavender Town, and also face off against this trainer, which is a little harder, but we face off against her and beat her down pretty easily to get into Celadon City. And then from there, we're able to move on to Celadon City, and now the power creep is getting there. I can't really handle Erica's team. This is like the first time I'm struggling with Erica, but I can't really do too much against her team, so I had to brainstorm a little bit. So what we have to do is start the battle off against Erica, the 4th gym leader in the game, with my Sawsbuck against her Cradily. We can't deny rocks at all. She actually switched out in the first turn anyway. So I got out to my Pyroar. We're able to Flamethrower into the Slowbro and knock him out. So Slowbro, big threat, gone. Her next opponent will be a Hawlucha, which is a fighting type. It's going to knock out my Pyroar, and then I go out into my Fearow. Fearow was able to survive just with 1 HP against the Hawlucha. Do Wing Beat to knock him out, and then her next opponent will be a Kartana. I go out to my Staraptor because I know it's going to survive any move, and also lowers attack stat. And then from there, I'm able to close combat into him, but it's not going to knock out the Kartana as I switch out to my Fear to sack into the rocks. Doesn't give the Kartana the Beast Boost. And then go out to my Wyrdeer, or Wyrdeer, which is Psychic and Normal type, a new Hisuian Pokemon. I could go out and go for a Jump Kick to knock out the Kartana. I made this thing special attacking. It has physical attackings only, so it doesn't make any sense. I sack my Staraptor so I could pivot into my Ambipom. Ambipom is able to go for a Fake Out, and then I'm going to sack my Sawsbuck. I'm going to go back into my Ambipom to go for a Fake Out, and then double hit to knock him out. And her next Pokemon after that will be a Cradily. As I go out into my Wyrdeer to get Poison, I'm able to Confuse Ray and Jump Kick into the Cradily, which works out pretty well for us as it hits itself, and I'm able to survive the Toxic with the grassy terrain somehow. And from there, she can switch out into her final opponent, which is going to be a Sceptile. I'm going to get a Fake Off against the Sceptile and survive a Draco Barrage. And then from there, I'm able to go for Dual Chops, as with Technician boosted, it should kill, as we're able to beat down Erica, and we're able to secure our 4th gym badge with a lot of pain and struggles. Then we're going to move out into Celadon Game Corner, and we're going to face off against Giovanni. He's a pretty easy fight. I kind of struggle, so it's not really easy fight. I'm not sure why I'm lying. I'm lying a lot in this episode. But we're able to face off against the Lavender Tower Team Rocket members, and they're pretty strong. I actually kind of lost about a lot of fights, because the Obstagoon on the other team is pretty strong, so we got to reset. The fights are really annoying. We get the Poke Flute eventually, and then we can move on and face off against the Snorlax, catch the Snorlax for our team, because kind of need it, I'm not gonna lie. Snorlax is a good tank, special defensive tank, and then from there we can face off against our rival in Silphco, use Snorlax as a sack, and then from there we're able to beat down our rival and face up against Archer and Ariana, which is not a fun fight. I reset a lot of times and there's not a lot of progression. Eventually we're able to face off against them and beat them, but takes a lot of planning and all the luckiness. But from there we're gonna move on, face off against Giovanni, which he's not easier at all, but we're able to beat him down at least, and we can move on. We can face off against Chuck, which surprisingly against Chuck's an easier fight than the other fights we had. So Chuck, it's a fighting specialist, he's a mini boss. We're able to beat him down and also get the focus dash for ourselves. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Sabrina, and Sabrina's a little tougher than you expect. We tried our best against Sabrina, and she ends up cooking me pretty badly a lot of times, so I decided to go back. We're going to do some hunting for a little bit. We're going to get ourselves the Twisted Spoon, you'll see why in a little bit, and also we're going to get ourselves the Silph Scarf from this Minccino. And then from there, we're going to give the Twisted Spoon for our Oranguru, and then the Silph Scarf, I'm not too sure whoever's using the normal type move, but we're going to start the battle off against Sabrina using my Obstagoon and also my Drampa, both of them normal type just to make sure. And from there, I can Obstruct to protect my Obstagoon and also bait in the Misty Explosion, also get a Hydro Pump off against the camera to knock him out. From there, I'm able to knock out 2 of her Pokemon. She knocks out my Drampa, which actually is worth it. Her next Pokemon will be a Magearna and also Iron Hands. There, I'm going to switch out my Obstagoon since I can't do anything. I'm going to go out to my Snorlax. I get my Twisted Spoon actually knocked out of my hand, so it didn't matter anyways. But knock the Iron Hands down to low HP. Go out to my Snorlax to actually get a Crunch off against our Iron Hands to knock him out. And then from there, I'm able to Psychic into the Magearna, which works out pretty well. She can attack my Oranguru, which is fine. And then I can go out into my Focus Sash Pyroar. And from there, looks like I'm in a bit of trouble, but I'm able to survive a Water Spout. And then from there, I'm able to Flamethrower into the Magearna to knock him out. Her last Pokemon will be a Glacier and her Jellicent. I'm able to outspeed the Glacier as we're in Trick Room. That's how it's been working the whole time. So we're able to crunch into the Jellicent and knock him out. As a Flamethrower will almost knock out the Glacier. As from there, we're able to go for a Heavy Slam and knock out the Glacier. As she's getting close combat me, but I'm able to Flamethrower and knock out the Pyroar. As we're able to beat down Sabrina in a very fast fight. It did not feel fight. A lot of attempts went down there, and you know, it's Power Creep. I could feel the Power Creep coming up because my Pokemon were not able to even beat this level 1 Aeron with Endeavor, so that's kind of pathetic. But we make our way into Fuchsia City eventually. Just takes a little bit longer because my normal type Pokemon haven't been upgraded in a little bit, you know. So I decided to move out. I decided to catch a new Pokemon. Caught myself a Pidgey, evolve it into a Pidgeotto and a Pidgeot. And eventually we get a Mega Stone for Pidgeot, and we're going to have a nice Mega Pokemon just in case. It's actually a pretty good Pokemon too. So we're going to face off against Brock because we have to rematch a bunch of gym leaders before we face off against Koga. So we're going to face off against Brock first, and Brock has Infinite Sandstorm. I think also 25% reduction to super effective hits to Rock type Pokemon, but eventually my Slacking actually just goes off and destroys Brock's final Pokemon. So we're able to beat down Brock pretty easily. And against Misty, against Snorlax does pretty well, but again, Slack off clutched up, knock out the Kingdra and the Iron Bundle for us as we're to beat down Misty. And finally, we're facing off with Lieutenant Surge, and Obstagoon comes clutch, so we're able to Sucker Punch into the Mega Manectric and also Obstruct to lower the defense of the Polnaut and Sucker Punch to knock him out as we're to beat down Lieutenant Surge. From there, we're going to move on, and I didn't know this, but I completely forgot Ursa Ring actually evolves into Ursaluna, so yeah, that just came out of nowhere. I was actually just leveling him up, but yeah, we got an Ursaluna out of that. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Koga next. Koga is going to be the 6th gym leader in the game. We actually restart kind of RNG manipulation, but we're going to use Licky Licky as our bait to force the Tapu Lele to go for Focus Blast. And Focus Blast has a 30% chance of missing, so we're going to restart until he missed 2 Focus Blasts in a row, which allows us to knock out his Tapu Lele unscathed with my Licky Licky. Force out his Toxicity, which is going to go for a Boom Burst, and Licky Licky's can survive it and go for an Explosion to knock out the Toxicity. And from there, we're actually up 1 whole Pokemon, so we can go out to anyone. I go out to my Snorlax. He's going to go into his Crocodile. I'm able to survive any hits. I survive close combat, counter him, knock him out pretty easily. His next Pokemon will be a Nidoking. I sack my Snorlax since I'm a Pokemon up. Go out to my Ursaluna to knock out his Nidoking pretty easily for us. And then from there, he's going to switch out into his Shiyu, sack my Ursaluna, go out into my Audino, which is going to Mega Evolve a normal and Fairy type Pokemon. So I go out into my Mega Audino. He's able to Wish and then Moonblast, Wish and Moonblast, and then we're able to eventually knock out the Shiyu, lowering his attack. I don't know why it went for Hidden Power. It could have killed me at that point, but it didn't, as we're able to knock out the Shiyu. His final Pokemon will be a Hoopa Unbound, which I'm able to go for. Well, he's getting Thunderbolt me, but I go out into my Slacking, Body Slam into him, and survive a Focus Blast, which is kind of scary. But I paralyze him, and at that point, the battle should be over. I don't know why I go for a Body Slam. I should have healed up, but from there, I'm able to Body Slam with my Greedent to knock out the Hoopa Unbound, and we're able to beat them Koga, which seemed like an easy battle overall. A little RNG manipulation never hurt nobody. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Price and just beat down Price. We need the Choice Scarf from him, and we get it. So we beat down Price, get the Choice Scarf. We're not going to get a Choice Band because I think that's a waste of time. And also, my Pokemon aren't strong enough to beat her. So we're just going to avoid that completely. Face off against Blaine's trainer in his own gym and beat them down. And face off against Blaine himself. Blaine's going to be the 7th gym leader in the game, and he's a little annoying. So we're going to start the battle off against Blaine using my Ursaluna. Ursaluna's able to survive a Sandy Shock's Earthquake. Or Earth Power, barely. I'm going to go for Bodos, and then from there, activate Sugar Berry and allows me to go for a Headlong Rush as ready to knock out a Sandy Shock. The next Pokemon will be a Great Tusk, which I switch out into my Mega Pidgeot. And then from there, he's going to be forced into his Ho-Oh, which I Mega Evolve and go for a Feather Dance, which I was expecting. So I could switch out into my Staraptor. No, I switch out to my Ursaluna to sack it into my Staraptor, which will go for a Brave Bird and knock him down. He's going to knock him down into his Phoenix mode, which means he's going to revive himself and he's going to knock out my Staraptor, which is fine. I go out to my Mega Pidgeot, which I thought I was going to knock out with a Hurricane, but it doesn't, so that was pretty bad. So lucky enough, I could knock him out in the second Hurricane. His next opponent will be a Mega Charizard X, which I go out to my Ambipom, survive Flare Blitz, which is nice with my Focus Sash, and then I can go for a Fake Out, and then from there I could double out into my Pidgeot, which will catch his Great Tusk. I'm able to go for a Hurricane and knock out his Great Tusk. His next opponent will be a Venusaur, which I was not, I don't know what to do here. I was thinking about sacking just my Pidgeot, which I do. Go out into my Slacking, and then from there Slacking is able to just Body Slam and Slack off, and then eventually knock out the Venusaur. His next opponent will be a Walking Wake, which I just let him knock me out. Go out into my Obstagoon. Obstagoon's able to go for a Double Edge against the Walking Wake, knock him down to low HP, and then Sucker Punch will end him pretty easily. His next opponent will be his Charizard X, which we had a Sucker Punch off against, but it doesn't kill him. But you know what? We'll kill him. Ambipom Fake Out. So it works out at the end. We're able to Fake Out and knock out the Charizard X as we're able to beat down Blaine and secure the 7th gym badge in the game. So from there, we're forced to face off against Ariana and Archer in back-to-back fights. So pretty annoying. We're actually able to do pretty well against Archer, which with my Mega Pidgeot. So surprisingly enough, we're able to beat down Archer, and then against Ariana, Ursaluna does a lot of damage, knock out the Mawile. From there, the Buzzwole comes out. We're able to sack him. Go out to my Pidgeot. I think this is a whole different. Attempt because the HP doesn't match up. We're able to knock out the Buzzwole and also knock out the Espeon as we're able to beat down Ariana. And then from there, we can move on and face off against Giovanni. Giovanni has a Mega Mewtwo Y, which is kind of scary, but if you do have a Dark type Pokemon, it's pretty easy. As you can see, things work out pretty well for us as we're able to beat down his team. And it's Genesect at the end. We're able to just go for an Obstagoon, survive a U-turn, knock him out pretty easily as we're able to beat down Giovanni, and we can move on. So from there, we can move on and face up against the 8th gym leader in the game. We're going to face up against Claire, starting the battle off against her using my Mega Pidgeot because this thing is pretty reliable. We're going to start the battle off against her using Air Slash to flinch it. We flinch it twice, I believe. No, I Hurricaned it. It hits itself in confusion, and then from there, Hurricane would knock him out. So denied hazards completely with some hacks. From there, her next opponent will be Eternatus, which I just sack my Pidgeot. So that's the only reason I have Pidgeot on my team. Go out to my Lopunny, which has Mirror Coat, and I can Mirror Coat the damage against Eternatus to knock him out and survive it, and without the Focus Sash too. So that's kind of crazy. From there, Ultra Necrozma is going to knock out my Lopunny as I go out to my Obstagoon. Obstagoon's getting obstructed and surprisingly catches the Duraludon as she switched it out. So didn't really want that. I go out into my Staraptor to close combat into the Duraludon, which didn't work too well, but you know what? I go out to my Obstagoon to Sucker Punch and knock him out. Her next opponent will be a Magearna, which I go out into my Ursaluna, so works out pretty well for us. We're able to avoid Aura Sphere because of Bulletproof, which is kind of crazy to see. From there, I could Headlong Rush and knock out the Magearna. Her next Pokemon after that will be the Ultra Necrozma. I go out into my Obstagoon, which will obstruct it, lower his defense, and then knock him out with a Sucker Punch. And her final Pokemon will be a Roaring Moon, which will knock out my Obstagoon, which I do some chip damage. But I go out to my Slacking. Slacking's able to go for a counter and knock out the Roaring Moon as ready to beat down Claire. Now from there, we can move out and face off against a rival in Route 22. This fight kind of annoying, kind of lost a few times, but at the same time, we're ready to beat him down. Finally, we're ready to beat down his last few Pokemon. From there, we're gonna face off against Brendan, and Brendan's a little easier, but we still struggle a little bit against him. From there, we're gonna move out into Victory Road, clear through Victory Road, and also head into the Indigo Plateau and talk to this NPC to make sure what kind of team we're gonna face off against Lorelei. Lorelai's game have a water team today, so we're gonna make sure we keep that in mind as we're gonna face off against a bunch of Genesect raids in Victory Road, which are 5-star raids, and they give us a chance to get ourselves a choice scarf. So we're gonna have that in our mind. We're gonna get a few choice scarves for us. I think we get 3 in total. From there, there's actually another Pokemon in the cave for us in the raid dens. We can actually get ourselves a Meloetta. We can go into Meloetta's raid dens and get ourselves a Meloetta. So looks pretty nice. From there, our team, you know, I had to sacrifice someone for Obstagoon because Obstagoon's pretty strong. It's going to be useful against Agatha, so we have to sacrifice Ursaluna. My team is going to look like this: Obstagoon, Pidgeot, Staraptor, Slacking, Lopunny, could be Mega, could just be Miracle Bait, and also Meloetta because it's legendary and has really good stats. We're gonna have to keep it moving. So our first member of the Elite Four we're gonna face off against is gonna be Lorelei. We're gonna start the battle off against Lorelei using my Meloetta and my Lopunny. Lopunny's here for Fake Out support as we're ready to go for Thunderbolt and knock out the Iron Bundle for us. Very good turn. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Swampert, which I kind of just stayed in and sacrificed both my Pokemon because didn't really need them. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of want to do that on the first turn. We're gonna go for a Thunderbolt against the Ludicolo as my Lopunny goes down. Go out to my Slacking, which means my Meloetta is gonna get targeted. It's gonna get knocked down, but I'm able to counter into the Swampert to knock him out with my Slacking. Her next Pokemon will be a Palkia, which I'm like, you know what, just double attacking it. Meloetta and Slacking goes down in this turn, but I can go out to my Pidgeot and also Staraptor, which actually is a pretty good combo, as we're ready to go for a Hurricane into the Ludicolo and Brave Bird into the Palkia to knock him out. We're ready to beat down both of Lorelei's Pokemon, and her last 2 Pokemon will be a Dragonite and Genesect. I'm going to target her down to Genesect because I think that thing's a bigger threat, and then her next Pokemon, and her Dragonite just knocks out my Staraptor, which is fine. I do have one more Pokemon in the back, as you can see. From there, I'm able to Hurricane into the Dragonite and Sucker Punch it, as we're able to just chip it down, and eventually we're to knock him out pretty easily, as we're to beat down Lorelei on our first attempt, I believe. So we beat Lorelei. Moving on, we're gonna face off against Bruno next. Bruno's gonna be the fighting type Elite Four member, and he's a little harder than Chuck. So we're gonna start the battle off against him using my Mega Pidgeot to go for Air Slash into the Infernape, which it does really well. But unfortunately, it's always going to switch out, so I'm going to switch out into my Obstagoon against the Zeraora. I'm going to go for an Obstruct to lower his defense, and then from there, it's going to be scared, and it's going to move out into Exhaustion, which I go out into my Slacking. I go out to my Slacking, which actually works because it's going to be forced to switch out into his Necrozma. I know what's going to come next, so I go out to my Lopunny. Lopunny is going to be Mega in this situation. So my Pidgeot wasn't Mega, it was just Choice Scarf Pidgeot. So I go out to my Lopunny, which is Mega. So I'm able to Fake Out into the Necrozma and then High Jump Kick it twice, I think. Yep, as I'm able to knock out the Necrozma. His next Pokemon will be a Zacian, which is going to knock me out with a Wild Charge. From there, I'm going to go out to my Slacking to survive a close combat, and works out pretty well. Counter to knock out a Zacian for us, and his next Pokemon after that will be a Lucario, a Mega Lucario. It's going to knock out my Slacking as I go out into my Staraptor, which will easily Brave Bird and knock out the Ludicolo. The next Pokemon after that will be a Zeraora, which I'm like, well, don't really have an answer here, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to sack on my Pidgeot, go out into my Obstagoon to lower his defense, and then from there I'm able to double edge into him to knock him out. And his next Pokemon after that will be an Iron Valiant, which is partly Fairy, so which Fairy and Fighting, I believe. My Obstagoon goes down anyways as I go out into my Meloetta, which Psychic from Meloetta actually ends up knocking him out in one shot, so we take that as a Choice Scarf Meloetta will outspeed the Infernape and knock him out as well. So we're able to beat down Bruno pretty easily. So from there, we're gonna move on and face off against Agatha. Agatha is the next Elite Four member. We're gonna start the battle off against her using my Pidgeot. This time is Mega, as I'm able to Air Slash into the Crocodile and I get a flinch on it. I was getting Hurricane to knock him out, but she actually switched that to Yveltal, which I'm like, you know what, I don't mind damage on this thing, so I'm gonna take the damage. It's gonna Dark Hole me, it doesn't put me to sleep, as we're ready to go for a Hurricane and knock her out. So we'll take that as the Flutter Mane comes out to knock out my Mega Pidgeot. I go out into my Staraptor to go for a Brave Bird and knock out the Flutter Mane and still survive with my Staraptor. I go out into my Lopunny against the Spectre, assuming he's going for a Nasty Plot, and it does. I go for a Miracle against him, and then it does work as I do have a Focus Sash on, and I wait to Miracle and knock out the Calyrex. Her next Pokemon after that will be a Mewtwo X, which will knock out my Lopunny, but I do have my Staraptor in the bag with a Choice Scarf to outspeed it. Brave Bird Reckless would knock out the Mewtwo easily, as from there I can switch out to my Slacking against the Victini, and unfortunately Victini actually ends up knocking me down, so I should have gone for a Yawn, right? Yeah, Yawn would have been the best play here, but Focus Blast almost killed me. Focus Blast can end up knocking out my Slacking as I go out into my Obstagoon. Obstagoon's able to avoid the Focus Blast, twice again. Just like Lieutenant Surge, we're able to knock out the Big Teeny by missing Focus Blast. And then from there, her next opponent will be a Crocodile, which I do have my Meloetta in the back. Hyper Voice will actually one-shot the Crocodile as we're to beat down Agatha. And yeah, survive against Agatha. Moving on, we're going to face off against Lance next. Lance is going to be the 4th Elite Four member in the game. We're going to start the battle off against her. Guess what? We're going to use a Relic Song to put down the Glamora to sleep. And then from there, we can get 1 second off against him. And then he can switch out into his Dragonite, which I break the multi-scale off, which... you know what we'll take as a moral victory. I go out 2 on my Obstagoon against the Dragonite, which we're able to go for an Obstruct, take a Z-Strike. So I'm like, oh, okay, Personic Z-Strike didn't do anything. I'm going to Night Slash into him and then go for an Obstruct once again, lower his defense, and then Sucker Punch to knock him out. So just bait him like crazy. From there, he's going to switch out to his Dialga. His Primal Dialga will be pretty annoying to handle. So I'm just going to go for a Night Slash. He's going to Roar Time me. She Roar Times me out into my Staraptor, which works out really well since I can Final Gambit and knock out the Dialga with my Staraptor. So we'll take that as we can go out to my Pidgeot against the next opponent, which is going to be Arceus Fairy. I go for a Hurricane. He goes for Calm Mind. Hurricane again. Confuse him. He hits himself, and then I Hurricane again to knock out the Arceus. A bunch of luck is going my way as the next opponent will be a Melmetal, which I Feather Dance into him. And in Heat Wave, I guess I was sacking him. Go out to my Slacking, which will go for a counter, but unfortunately he gets flinched by the double Iron Bash, so go for a Slack Off, but he switched out to his Rayquaza anyways. And then from there, I survive a Dragon Ascent as we're to counter and knock him out. From there, I can Slack Off against the Melmetal, and unfortunately, it's not gonna work out for me. So I'm just gonna sack my Slacking as I go out into my Low Bunny. Low Bunny's not mega, but it still packs a punch. As High Jump Kick would knock out the Melmetal, and his final opponent will be a Glamora, which we High Jump Kick and knock out as well, as we're to beat down Lance, and yeah, pretty easy to get through him. Finally, we can head into the champion fight in the game. We're face off against our rival Blue. We're gonna start the battle off against Blue with my Pidgeot against his Groudon. You guys already know what we're doing here. We're gonna go for Air Slashes. Works out like in the first 2 tries. We're able to Air Slash twice into the Groudon to flinch him twice, and then from there, Air Slash again to knock out the Primal Groudon, denying rocks. His next opponent will be an Eternatus, which... well, I mean, it's been a good run. I'm gonna go out into my Meloetta to survive a Dragon Barrage and then go for a Psychic. And yeah, I just sacked it for some reason. Why did I just sack my Meloetta? Go out to my Obstagoon to at least go for a Sucker Punch against the Eternatus. 2 Sucker Punches will knock him out, as his next opponent will be an Arceus Ground. And I'm like, whoa, this thing is kind of strong. I'm just gonna go for a Sucker Punch. It's gonna knock out my Obstagoon. I go out into my Slacking. Slacking's able to go for a Body Slam against the Arceus as he goes for a Tectonic Rage, and I'm able to survive it. I'm able to actually heal up against him and eventually just knock him out with Body Slam, so we'll take that absolutely as we're ready to beat down Arceus Ground. His next opponent will be a Xerneas, which can go for Geomancy. It's pretty obvious. So go out to my Low Bunny, and Low Bunny does have the Focus Sash. He's getting Miracle into the Xerneas as we're ready to beat him down. And then his next opponent will be a Koraidon, which I sacrifice my Low Bunny, go out to my Mega Pidgeot, which will Hurricane and one-shot the Koraidon. And his final Pokemon will be a Houndoom, which is going to be a Mega Houndoom, but he has Hurricane and Confusion, and we get all the luck in one game. Oh my god. One battle is all the luck possible as we're ready to beat down the Houndoom, and we're ready to beat down Blue, and that means we end up beating Pokemon Radical Red 4.0 using only normal type Pokemon. So an interesting run, I'm not gonna lie. I think I found a lot of respect for Pidgeot. I don't remember using him this often, but Pidgeot was pretty fun. It wasn't a really fast one. The in-game clock will tell you different, but I swear I spent a long time. The recording was way past 5 hours, so I think it was in the 6-hour range. So I don't think it was necessarily a fast run, but it wasn't a slow run either. I think it got really mid in the middle part, but it picked up at the end because my team was actually rolling, and then it was pretty easy at the start because normal type Pokemon evolved quickly and had a lot of power. So yeah, it's a pretty decent run. If you don't mind the middle part, which gets a little slow, especially in Silph Co, really boring and it's just mind-numbing because nothing's working out. But outside of that, it's a really fun challenge. Anyways, that will take me to the end of the video. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name's been Alpha, and I hope you guys all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.